The Sundarbans, a world of peace and harmony, serenity and tranquility. Here the shrubs and the trees dance to the tide of the gentle breeze and bathe in the saline water. Here the tidal waves rock young plants as if to put them to sleep. Here the wild beasts find their cozy dens in the midst of nature's own home. But alas, how long will this last? As of today, the forest area has been reduced by half of what it was only 2 centuries ago. And if this continues, in the very near future, our children will read about the Sundarbans in their history books.
Once upon a time, there was a unique deltaic forest called Sundarbans at the mouth of Bay of Bengal.
During the digging for the metro rail in Calcutta, we found in situ remnants of mangrove plants from the pits. From that evidence, we can conclude that the present city of Calcutta was once a mangrove forest. It is very likely that Calcutta was an integral part of the Sundarbans. The forest is diminishing rapidly, and we are responsible for that. It is we who are encroaching on the forest area for developing new settlements. This is taxing the ecological balance heavily. And if it goes on like this, we may soon reach a point of no return. Yet, the Sundarbans contribute substantially to the quality of human life. But it is sad that we hardly reciprocate. Should not we extend our gratitude? Can we not think of caring for the forest? Can we not think of caring for nature? Make friends. Perhaps this bond of friendship can save the forest, and the forest in return will save us. To begin with, let's go and familiarize ourselves with the shrubs and trees of this unique deltaic forest. The deltaic areas of the Sundarbans are usually interspersed with large marshes and swamps in between elevated tracts of siltation. They are submerged twice a day by the tidal inundation. The delta of the Sundarbans spreads over 2 countries, India and Bangladesh, specifically over the districts of North and South 24 Parganas of West Bengal in India, and the districts of Khulna and Borishal in Bangladesh. That is a newly formed landmass of sedimentary soil yet to be consolidated. The prominent autotrophic form on this landmass are the blue-green algae. Look at the grass, standing erect in spite of the waves. It is known as Poteraceae coarctata. These grasses send pseudo-tap roots up to a depth of 1 meter. This helps to anchor the plant firmly on the loose sedimentary soil. The grains look similar to paddy, and it is edible as well. This is the common Indian salt wort, a halophytic herb. It grows on a soil partially compacted by blue-green algae. These halophytes enrich the sedimentary soil with organic matter. The enriched soil is just right for the growth of the species Avicennia. Sometimes, after Poteraceae coarctata grows the Soneraceae. Both Avicennia and Soneraceae are pioneer species. Their presence gives us a clear indication of a mangrove. We know that many species on this universe lived for a while, thrived, and then either perished on their own or were destroyed by external forces. But some species have lived for millions of years. The secret lies in their ability to adapt themselves to the changing environments. The soil of the mangrove landmass is non-porous due to the constant deposition of fresh silt during tides. The roots have trouble breathing. To counter this, they develop special roots that grow upward. These are called breathing roots, pneumatophores. These dotted spots on the surface of the pneumatophores are called lenticels. When the land gets inundated during high tides, pneumatophores stick out of the water surface. They draw air through the lenticels and send them through the soft, spongy tissue to the roots beneath the mud. Besides contributing to the process of respiration, pneumatophores also help maintain the food cycle of the mangroves. The mangroves are the ecosystem in totality. The benthic and periphytic algae formed around the pneumatophores serve as natural food for fish, crab, mollusks, and other aquatic life forms. Pneumatophores also help in identification of plants. One can distinguish Avicennia from Soneraceae by their pneumatophores. The pneumatophores of Avicennia alba are about 40 to 50 centimeters long, and that of Soneraceae grow to a height of about a meter. A mature Soneraceae tree can have about 1,000 pneumatophores. Look at these lumps. You will find them in the leaves and twigs of Avicennia officinalis. These plants grow quite tall, with scattered branches and oval leaves. This stem resembles that of a guava tree. The thin barks are peeled off at places. This is Avicennia marina. They also grow tall with plenty of branches and leaves. Here the leaves have a pointed tip and their ventral surfaces are silvery. This branch is of Avicennia alba. They have dark, thick bark, long leaves with pointed tips and silvery white beneath. The Sundarbans is the most prominent mangrove forest. We find mangrove forests in the coastal regions of India and in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands as well. Other mangrove forests can be found in Brazil, Australia, and the tropical zones of the Indo-West Pacific Ocean. Soneraceae apetala grows mostly in the mid-estuary. They are quite tall. They have pendulous leaves and green fruits of the size of a date palm. Look at this fruit, a disc with many petals around. It belongs to Soneraceae caseolaris, found mostly in the inner estuaries. They bloom in the evening. Though it almost resembles Soneraceae caseolaris, it belongs to another species of the same genus called Soneraceae griffithii. They grow mostly in the mid to outer estuaries. They can only be identified by their fruits, which resemble the chiku, don't they? The mangroves find it difficult to anchor themselves on the soft, silty mud. A typical mangrove plant, such as the Rhizophora mucinata, sends several prop roots or stilt roots from their branches. These stilt roots provide physical support and help in root zone respiration. The interlaced, entangled network of roots help in the formation of new land by trapping debris, silt, and mud. It also restricts the shoreline by preventing soil erosion. The stalked or pedicellate flowers and fruits of this tree grow on the axis of the existing leaves. The flowers of the Rhizophora epiculata are sessile and grow on the axis of the fallen leaves in the leaves scar region. The Rhizophora muconata have dense foliage with leathery, wax-coated texture and mucronate apex. To combat excessive solar radiation, most of the true mangrove species have leathery, wax-coated textures. These leaves contain stomatal apertures, which ensure minimum water loss during transpiration. The saline estuarine environment is everywhere, both on land and in water. Mangroves overcome this problem with their unique features for salinity tolerance. Firstly, during the intake of saline water, they exclude part of the excess salt by osmoregulatory mechanisms. Further, mangroves have a mechanism to maintain the salt-ion concentration in their metabolic tissue. They accumulate the excess salt in the salt glands, forming burr-like structures and excreting the salt through pores. Some of them excrete the excess salt through small pores on their leaves, while others are found to dispense off their branches and leaves altogether. These decompose in the tidal water and release manure and food for fishes. In this way, they form a unique cycle. One does not exist without the other. This rule of life also holds good for the mangroves of the Sundarbans. In order to adapt themselves to this environment, mangroves have developed their own process of germination. If their seeds fall on the ground, they may be swept away by the tidal waves. So many mangrove species germinate through a special process called Viviperis germination. Here, the seeds germinate while they are still attached to the mother plant. The long hypocotyle emerges from the seed and grows rapidly downward. When the seed falls, the young root is driven into the soft soil. The hypocotyle being thus rooted, the shoot makes its appearance, and a young plant comes up very close to the mother plant. The hypocotyles of Bruguera gymnorrhiza are ribbed, very similar to ladies' fingers in appearance, with distinct, persistent, reddish calyx. Their large leaves grow in clumps at the end of the branches. They have buttresses at the base of the trunk, broom-like stilt roots and knee roots. The hypocotyle is not as long as that of the Bruguera gymnorrhiza. It belongs to another species of the same genus called Bruguera sexangula. They have yellowish, persistent calyx lobes and teeth. This hypocotyle is slender. It belongs to Bruguera parviflora. Here, the hypocotyle is just like a tube. The end is slightly pointed, with bent calyx teeth, without prominent ribs. It belongs to some other species of the same genus Bruguera, called Bruguera cylindrica. This long, pointed hypocotyle belongs to Candelia candele. Their leaves have rounded apexes. The flowers are white. The fruits are small. These are very rare in the Sundarbans. Trees shed leaves. They get covered with silt and release inorganic constituents. This consolidates the soil particles. On this consolidated soil grows Cereops tagal. These are trees having cone-shaped canopies with dark green and dense foliage. Their trunk base is fused with broom-like stilt roots having conical shapes. This fruit belongs to the second species of the same genus Cereops, and it is Cereops decandra. It is a shrub with compact stilt roots. These roots resemble a cluster of snakes. This is an easy way of identifying the species Exocaria agalocha. Though it grows in intertidal saline zones, it is not a true mangrove species because it lacks many mangrove characteristics such as Viviperis germination and the aerial root system. The burr-like structures at the base of their trunks have pores. These pores help excrete salt, take part in gaseous exchange, and help in respiration. This is a leaf of Aegialitis rotundifolia. The name rotundifolia is given because the leaves are almost round with sheathing leaf bases. This is a shrub which grows in patches. This is Aegiceras corniculatum. It produces a very sweet nectar and has a beautiful fragrance. This nectar is collected by Apis dorsata, the rock bees, and the honey is said to be the best of the Sundarbans. This fruit that looks like a cannonball belongs to Xylocarpus granatum. It grows as a medium-sized tree and has buttressed trunks. The fruits of the Xylocarpus mecangenesis are smaller than that of the Xylocarpus granatum. These plants also have buttresses and stout pneumatophores. This one is called Atlantia corea, a shrub which grows as a mangrove associate species. Its stem has 2 spines at each node, and the leaves are scented like a lemon. Recently, it was reported to have been found in the Sundarbans. Further reports were made about Scyphiphora hydrophyllacea and Acanthus volubilis, a shrub with a delicate stem spreading horizontal roots. Look at this plant. This is neither a date tree nor a regular date palm. This is a very common palm in the Sundarbans called Phoenix paludosa. This jungle of Phoenix paludosa is the abode of the Royal Bengal tiger. Phoenix paludosa grows only in mature and consolidated soil. The forest takes about 13 to 15 years to reach such maturity. In other words, the presence of Phoenix paludosa is an indication that the mangrove has reached the climax or final stage. Birth and death are 2 sides of the same coin. Together they form the rule of life. This is also true of the mangrove of the Sundarbans. Now, the much talked about Sundari trees. Normally, they are found to grow with Phoenix paludosa. This taxa requires more time than other mangrove species for natural regeneration and growth. Sundari was much in demand because of its hard and durable wood with insect-resistant qualities. But due to massive demand today, we hardly come across the Sundari tree in the Sundarbans. In fact, the Sundari trees have given their names to the Sundarbans. Another species, Nipa fruticans, has become rare in the Indian part of the Sundarbans tribal forest. Its leaves were used extensively as thatches for roofs. Apart from human destruction, the reduced supply of fresh water has spelt its doom. A little thought spared for this forest can make it a treasure trove. This acts as a protection against the fury of nature. Aren't we calling for disaster by breaking this protective shield? Listen to the chirping of the birds, the buzzing of the bees, and the roar of the tiger. Perhaps they are trying to send a distress call to us. They do not like their homes to be plundered. They want the forest to be saved. Nature is ours. Let us all tend to its wounds and make this a better place to live in. For it is in preserving nature that we preserve the human race.